Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of True Myths, One Lie, the game show in the form of a podcast all about myths, urban legends, conspiracies, all of the things that we don't fully understand. I'm your host, Anthony Manella, and the way that the game works is I'm going to tell 3 stories, 2 of which are from people online that claim that these things are true, and 1 story that is completely made up. It is up to my guests and everyone at home to try and figure out which story is the fake one. Today's first guest once almost died while falling off of a children's play set. Ryan McCauley.
That is true. And it's partly Anthony's fault because I was filming at the time. And it's even more so Andrew's fault because I was stuck on the top trying to get down. And Andrew, instead of helping me when I was asking for it, he was throwing rocks at me.
Today's second guest thinks that every single movie that he's seen is in his top 5 favorite movies. Austin Murphy.
I have the largest top 5 selection you could choose from.
But you know what? I appreciate it because it just goes to show how much you like things. Like, you're never a negative person. You're always like, that was great. I love this movie. Even if I'm like, you did? I appreciate it because I wish that I could enjoy things as much as you do.
I just feel like if I'm going to spend 2 hours watching something, I might as well enjoy it, you know?
It might as well be in your top 5.
Right, it might as well be positive.
And today's third guest once woke up to find a bunch of his own face stuck into the grass of our front yard. My brother, Christopher
I was
Manella.
not expecting that.
What happened?
My friend's mom.
His friend's mom came here while we were all asleep and stuck a bunch of pictures of himself into our grass as a congrats for like graduating high school.
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
I love that it wasn't like your friend, it was his mom.
I know.
That was like the scariest thing I've ever woken up to. I was terrified.
Do you have any guesses what we're talking about today?
The Dark,
Dark
Watchers?
How the... Yeah, okay. Well, that was actually very impressive. We are talking about the Dark Watchers today. Okay. That was so definitely not planned. Clearly not staged.
And we're just good.
They're
We're
just
psychic. Best team.
They're
Top 3
just
players of the game.
geniuses.
Yeah.
The
Makes
3,
sense.
yes. The 3 people I have with me today are the 3 people who have the most wins in the game. So if you guys win today, you're not pulling away from each other. You're actually just all helping each other.
Pulling away from everybody else.
You are pulling away from everybody else.
Technically, right now, Toph is number 1, and me and Austin are tied for number 2. So yeah, if we all win, Toph is still just
I am
number 1.
in every single episode, so I am bound to be in first place.
Okay, so Dark Watchers are similar to shadow people, but they're not shadow people. Shadow people are just that. They were the shadowy figures that people claim to have seen around their homes and so on and so forth. The Dark Watchers are specifically seen by people while they're traveling, specifically hiking. So they were originally found in California when people were hiking through a specific set of mountains. They say that while driving through the areas, while walking through trails, they can see a bunch of shadow people, shadowy figures, watching them from the trees, just staring at them. They're often wearing hats, sometimes they have canes, and they're very, very tall. They're like 7 feet tall. Yeah, I'm basically just describing Austin, wearing hats and 7 feet tall.
And I was in California. It's all adding up.
I was chasing him.
That's why Austin earlier, he was like, how was California?
He was,
I don't know, Austin, how was it?
We knew the whole time.
so in other words, we're debunking Dark Watchers. It's just Austin.
It's like, oh, so you were in San Francisco from like Monday to Thursday? Right.
Yeah, so some people say that the Dark Watchers are attributed to hallucinations and certain like oxygen levels, certain like weird theories involving like the specific mountains that they're seen in. But then people started claiming that they've seen them in more than just that one set of mountains. People are claiming that they have, multiple people have experienced it at the same time. So it's weird for 2 people to be seeing it at the same time if just one person is like hallucinating, you know what I mean? So not too sure. It's all just a big theory. Do you guys think that the possibility of seeing shadowy figures while out and about is possible?
I don't know. For some reason, this one just feels a little more unbelievable to me. But at the same time, I like just believing these things because it's just more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just going crazy from the high altitude.
This guy's onto something.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I tend to think like the deeper the rabbit hole goes, the less likely it is to be truthful. You know, it's like, oh, shadow people. Oh, there's a deeper version, the Dark Watchers. It's like, oh, well, I can't believe that. But we always say, If you don't believe in them, they'll come get you. So I believe in them.
I also feel like
Me
a
too.
shadow, like a shadow person's like a really easy thing to just be wrong about. Like, oh, I saw this shadow and it looked like a person. It's a shadow person. And then one person tells another person and that person has it in their head and they're like, dude, I saw it too in this place. It's, I don't know, not very believable.
I agree with what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. What I will say is that if there's any truth to these stories, if these people really did see this, then it kind of goes against all of your rational explanations that you guys just came up with, because they're a little more interactive in a way, and it's not so much of just your brain making it up. It's like, all right, there's definitely something there. With that being said, though, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're ready.
All right.
Shadow people. Oh.
Story number 1.
Thank you, guys.
It's the middle of the winter. There's a man working an overnight shift in Vernal, Utah, and he's working as a troubleshooter for a computer software company. So on this particular night, there's basically a full moon out there, and the light from the moon is reflecting onto the snow. There's a lot of snow, so it's making the nighttime a lot brighter than it usually is. So he can still see in the dark. So while this guy is out troubleshooting a piece of equipment, he gets a call from one of his coworkers on the radio. And the guy over the radio says, hey, I'm working on a piece of equipment outside and I see something that is creeping me out. The guy on the other end.
I'm sorry. I just imagined something really absurd. Like there's just a man in a chicken costume or something. Like, dude, this thing's freaking me out.
That's so funny.
This guy's just like dancing in a chicken costume.
So the crew member who sees the thing that's creeping him out drops his radio and sprints back to his truck and drives away. So the supervisor who's in charge of both of these crew members says, hey, can you go out there and see if this guy saw what he was seeing? And can you go finish that guy's job for him and then come back here and do your job? So the guy says, sure. So he goes out to where the other guy was working, where the guy claimed to have seen something creepy. While the guy's walking out towards the mountain, about 20 feet out in the distance, he sees something that makes his heart stop. It's this tall, shadowy figure, about 7 feet tall. It's Grim Reaper-like, and it's wearing a robe. So this man sees this, and he wants to just turn around and run as fast as he can. And he's trying to run, but the snow is so deep that he is not moving very quickly. He turns around to see that this thing is gaining on him. It is unfazed by the snow completely. It's actually floating over the snow and moving closer and closer to him. It finally catches up to him, and it circles around him one time before stopping right in front of him. The man realized he can't outrun this thing. He reaches into his pocket, he pulls out a pocket knife, and he starts going towards the thing. Once he got within 10 feet of this thing, it just started floating backwards, and it started floating so quickly that he could not keep up with it if he tried. It just eventually vanishes into thin air. That's the last that he saw of it.
I have 2 initial thoughts. One, it's just kind of funny that the one guy freaked out and left, and the supervisor calls the guy inside. It's just like, yeah, so there was a 7-foot tall shadow thing that just chased your partner off, and can you just go out there and finish his job?
I was thinking that.
No, right?
I was
No.
thinking that same thing. Like, I hope he got fired. That I just risked my life for doing something he wouldn't.
Also, yeah, it reminded me of what are they called? Like the Death Eaters? Is that what they're called from Harry Potter?
Yeah.
The Dementors?
Dementors.
It was the Dementors.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. When it was like Grim Reaper-like with the robe and they kind of like circle and fly
Yeah.
around. Like, I don't know. Yeah, other than that, what do you guys think?
Seems pretty simple.
Yeah, no,
Right?
definitely did.
Not
Straightforward.
much content to it.
I would just say from like what I noticed, Anthony said earlier that it was found and is predominantly, actually he didn't even say it was found even outside of California. He just said this, they were inhabiting California. He never said they were outside of California. And they're mainly when people were traveling. And this is Utah. So, and those are totally different climates as well, especially if it's the snowy Alps or mountains of Utah versus like California's SoCal-like weather we like to all think of, you know?
Right.
So that's just one thing like I immediately noticed once he started. He was like, yeah, and this takes place in Utah. I was like, that took me off guard.
I guess we'll just have to be on the lookout
I-
for if the other 2 stories are in California.
Yeah.
You guys ready to hear story number 2?
Yeah.
Story.
Hit us with it.
Story Number 2.
two.
So a family of 3 is driving up the Santa Catalina Mountains in Arizona. It's sunset, and they're getting closer and closer to their campsite. So the couple has made this trip up to the campsite a couple of times, but this is the first time that they decided to bring their daughter along with them. For the most of the ride, the little girl in the back seat has been quiet. But as the ride goes on, she's starting to get a little bit more restless and a little bit more rowdy, and she wants to get out of the car. And in this restlessness, she starts claiming that she is seeing people watching them from the trees as they're driving. Now, there are trails that go up all the way through these mountains, so it's not unlikely for there to be campers throughout the entire thing. So the parents just assume that she's seeing other campers. However, over and over and over again, the little girl keeps claiming that she is seeing dark people in hats. The parents reassured the daughter, everything's probably fine, just quiet down, we're gonna be there soon. They drive for a little bit longer, and then the father who's driving slams on the brakes. A moment of silence passes, and then he says, "Do you see that?" Probably about 30 feet away from the car is this dark, shadowy figure of a person standing right in the middle of the road. It's got a wide, brimmed hat, and it's got a long, flowing robe. They claimed that this thing looked to be at least 10 feet tall, and that's when it slowly turns its head and looks right at the car. The little girl from the back seat starts screaming, and the dad throws the car into reverse, and he gets out of there. He looks in his rearview mirror and realizes that this thing has now completely vanished. He looks over at his wife, and he says, "Did you see that too?" And she just nods her head yes. In all of the times that this couple has been up this mountain, they have never experienced anything like this. They decided it's probably best to just keep going back down the mountain, and instead of going up to the campsite, we're gonna get a hotel. And they never went camping there ever again. And that is the end of story number 2. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
I want to put this out there. I think this is a very hard episode so far. I have no ideas, 0 thoughts in this head right now. They seemed pretty similar. Not very, they didn't really elaborate on anything. It was like just super straightforward, you know. They saw it, they ran, they're okay now.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna come down to hearing story number 3 and see which stories have similarities between them.
Yeah.
Because that's usually the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, this one was taller. The other one was 7 feet tall. This one was 10 feet tall. The other one chased them, though. Chased the guy and circled him.
I feel like there's not much to say.
There's really not much to go off of. The stories are so, like, empty.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what, this is my thought process. So the first story we heard, they weren't actually traveling. And this is supposed to be monsters that attack you when you're traveling. They were working. They were working on parts. They're troubleshooters. This time they're actually traveling to a campsite. And they're supposed to be found at a campsite. Now this one doesn't take place in California, right? Arizona is actually significantly closer to California. And I'd be willing to bet money on it. I could be wrong. That it might even be the same mountain range that still might even be as well in California. You know, maybe it does doubles in both. That'd be my guess. And that's just what I would like to say. Like, that's what I got from the second story. Like, the main difference is you said they were traveling monsters. In the first one, there was no traveling. There were people working.
Based on everything you just said, I would be leaning more towards the second story being the fake one and the first one being real.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way that the fake story would take place in somewhere far away from California when the topic is literally about things that appear around California.
Mm-hmm.
The fake story probably is somewhere closer to California.
Yeah.
A lot of the things will align with what the lore actually is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it just comes down to number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But before we tell story number 3, we're
Keep
going
going.
to play a little mini game.
We are. That's correct, Ryan. We are gonna play a little mini
We
game.
got some monsters.
We are not guessing monsters today.
Please
get
tell
down with
me. Please
We're
tell
playing
me.
Mad Libs.
Yes! I've been waiting for
I
this
knew,
for so
'cause I gotta
long.
This is literally the next best mini
Yeah,
game. So
Toph looked at my computer, so he already knew what the game was today.
Nice.
it's right in my field.
So we're gonna tell a sighting story about the Dark Watchers themselves, or actually, it might not be about the Dark Watchers after you guys are done with it.
Oh, it won't be.
So, yeah, I have a story here. You guys are gonna fill in all the things that I need. Give me a number.
27.
Give me a name.
Anthony.
Oh boy.
Okay. That's so funny. You're gonna see why that's so funny in a second. Okay, give me a place.
Rainbow Road.
Yeah, that was good. That's good.
Yeah.
Give me a verb ending in ing.
Sprinkling.
Sweating.
Peeing.
Give me a noun.
The Pentagon.
This story's gonna make no sense, and I love it.
Actually, change it to the White House if that's okay.
Can you give me an adjective?
Solid.
It's so funny you said that because I was gonna say translucent.
What?
Which one do you want to go with?
No, not translucent.
Spicy.
Not
Oh, wait.
translucent.
Spicy. I like spicy.
I like spicy.
Yeah,
I like spicy.
Wait, that's way better.
Picante.
Yes.
Give me another adjective.
Insidious.
I like that word. Give me a verb.
Drowning.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
He's drowning in Rainbow Road.
Adjective.
Pink.
Ooh,
Okay, give me a noun.
Yoshi.
incredible.
You guys are gonna love this story.
I'm hyped.
All right, another adjective.
Wet.
Oof.
Well, wait. Wait. What about moist?
Okay, and give me a noun.
Jack Black.
Yeah, I'm right about that. I'm so about that.
Give me another noun.
Bowser.
Give me another noun.
Maybe we should stop saying Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So many nouns.
Seth.
Seth Cologne, specifically.
Seth Cologne specifically.
Adjective.
Sticky.
Sticky.
Slimy.
Slimy.
Ooh.
That's the one.
Another adjective.
Gooey.
Noun.
Oh, mustache.
And a verb.
Bleeding.
Bleeding.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Are you done?
Okay, no, but that sentence was incredible. Past tense verb.
Flopped.
That's good. That one, yeah.
Flopped.
Adjective.
Blue.
I like that. I like that.
Blue.
And now I need a noun.
You want to go with cactus?
Do you want to go cactus?
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think cactus is good. That is a fire one.
Units of measurement. Like,
Celsius or Kelvin?
Oh,
like
Miles.
centimeter.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Oh, like miles.
Yeah. I like Miles.
All right, Miles Murphy.
Miles
Miles
Murphy.
Murphy.
Oh no, I knew it was coming. No.
Verb ending in ing.
Lawn mowing.
I like that.
Lawn mowing.
Mooing.
That's good too.
Yeah,
Pretty
put
like.
mowing, put
All
mowing.
Okay, past tense verb.
Died?
Died. I don't know if that's
Does that work?
Oh, that was great.
Cool.
He died.
end of story.
Past tense verb.
Alived.
Alive.
Oh my. Yes.
We put alive.
Not even. Okay. We have just created a new verb.
Yes.
Okay, adjective.
Shady.
Big, meaty.
Another adjective.
Meaty?
Yeah, meaty. Can we?
Oh my
And one more adjective.
And that's it?
Wiggly.
And then a noun.
Ooh, wiggly. And then one noun.
Yep.
Can we say Abraham Lincoln?
Big, it was all wiggly,
Yeah.
and it ate everything.
Alaskan bullworm for a noun. Or
Oh my God! Can we? Do we have a noun
Yeah,
left?
that worked. That's
Alaskan
the last thing.
bullworm.
Alaskan bullworm.
Yeah,
was
nice.
good.
Nailed
Here we
it.
go.
I can't wait to
We
hear
won this minigame.
This is gonna
Yeah,
be
we won.
incredible.
Okay. Yeah, you congrats. You guys won. You got it right.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, you guys ready to hear the story you made? One day, 27 years ago, a woman who went by Anthony was visiting her aunt's cabin in Rainbow Road.
In.
While she was peeing there, she got a call from the White House who told her to be careful because the news reported strange sightings of spicy men who would appear randomly with insidious silhouettes and drowning people who passed by.
Oh my God.
What the heck?
The woman did not pay any attention to this. Sorry.
Those dang spicy men.
Drowning everybody.
When you guys said that, I was like, that is so
That
good.
was a good one, dude.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. The woman did not pay any attention to this, dismissing it as a pink Yoshi. Once at the cabin, once at the cabin, Anthony and her aunt all sat down for a cup of voiced Jack Black.
Oh my god.
And they went to do their favorite thing. Tell Bowser stories next to Seth.
Seth is there.
Okay. Her aunt began telling a slimy story that she had never heard before when something very gooey happened.
Naturally.
Anthony saw a mustache bleeding past the house, and then it disappeared into the woods.
Just a mustache.
Just this guy.
They both got up and flopped to the door. The sun was setting, and it was getting blue out, so they could still see a little ways into the woods. They swore that they could see a cactus standing just a few miles into the woods. They have some good eyesight.
Dang, Anthony.
No, this isn't about me. This is about a woman named Anthony.
Right.
Sure.
Anthony, remembering the call that she got on her way to the cabin, was pretty sure that this has to be it. They tried mooing at it, but it did not respond. It simply died.
You must move.
They tried to move a little closer, but they
They
did.
tried to move a little closer.
It simply died. They tried to move a little closer, but when they did, it alived.
Yes. It's gonna be in the dictionary soon.
Unsure of what they really saw, the two women go into the cabin and did shady research at all night. They were meaty after doing so much research, and they figured it out. They knew that what they saw the previous day was a wiggly Alaskan bullworm.
Nice.
That is
The
incredible.
end.
That is a good one. Shout out to Seth.
That is about it. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into story number 3. We will be right back. And we are back. Okay, guys, are you ready to hear story number 3?
Yes.
Story number 3. So many years ago, two friends were driving through a dirt field in Moreno Valley, California. They were passing some old abandoned barns that were rumored to be haunted. Not much sooner than discussing these barns, their car breaks down. They found it to be way too coincidental and way too strange that they happened to break down right in front of these barns that were claimed to be haunted. But they just kind of brushed it off because they're driving an old Volkswagen. It was sunset, it was getting darker, and they realized there's no way that they're gonna make it out and get help by foot at this hour. So they decide to just wait it out and stay in their car overnight, so this way they can get help when the sun rises. Now, this is way before the time of cell phones. So they didn't want to chance it. They're chilling in their car. They're just passing some time, and they couldn't fall asleep in the car, so they're mostly just hanging out. After some time, the two of them started to notice something. Very distinctly, there were these shadowy people that were literally surrounding their car. They were all evenly spaced out from person to person. They were super freaked out by this. These things stayed completely motionless for so long, and these things looked about the size of their car. Whatever these things were, they started to realize these things are actually hunched over, possibly kneeling down on the ground. The two friends aren't sure if what they're seeing is real, and to make sure, they actually get out of their car. They start circling their own car and walking around, and they get back in, and they do this 2 or 3 times until they realize, okay, this is definitely real. What we're seeing is really happening. But these things never moved. No matter what they did, these things stayed stationary. Eventually, they just faded away. And these friends cannot explain what they saw. The two of them both experienced the same exact thing. And that is the end of story number 3. I'm going to give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
I think that this is not the fake story. And reason being that we learned in the beginning that these, whatever they're called, shadow night watcher people, these stories mostly take place in California. And this was the only story that was in California, and everything else was not in California.
So this one was about traveling, and the second one was about traveling, whereas the first one didn't have any traveling. The first and second one had the appropriate height, whereas this one didn't have the appropriate height. This was the only one that took place in the appropriate state.
Yeah.
This one has 2, and the second one,
Second one has the most overlap.
yeah.
It shares similarities to 1 and similarities to 2, so it's possible that it just took inspiration from both stories and combined it.
I do agree.
We did agree we were gonna not rule any out, but I think we can, right?
I don't think
I was thinking that same thing. We were like, yeah, we can't rule anything out.
No one would write the first one as the fake one because it's just so different, right?
No, I don't know. I think the first one has potential to be the fake one.
Kind of illegal. if they wrote a story that different.
I agree.
Right?
I don't know.
I
would feel so like played.
I feel like them not traveling is so important. As a detail.
Right?
So, and I don't know if that makes it the fake one or not the fake one, but I'm just saying that is such an important detail. I think it's way more important than anything else.
Yep.
I guess let's let Anthony do the recap first, and then we'll discuss them further.
Yeah.
Story number 1, guy's working in the mountains. He gets a call over the radio from one of his coworkers who says, hey, I see something creepy out here. The guy who sees the creepy thing just gets in his truck and drives away. The other guy goes out there to finish that guy's job, and he also sees this creepy thing. This thing circles around him. He chases after it with a pocket knife, and then this thing vanishes into thin air. Story number 2, couple is driving with their daughter, and they are going to a campsite. On the way up, the little girl's getting restless. She's claiming that she's seeing these shadowy figures watching them from the trees. That's when the dad slams on his brakes, sees one of them right in the middle of the road. They all see it. The little girl screams. They decide to not go to the campsite. Story number 3, 2 friends are driving up a dirt field. They're driving past some haunted barns. Their car just happens to break down right in front of these barns. And while they're there, their car gets surrounded by shadowy figures. Eventually, they just go away, and the friends were never able to explain what happened. Those are your 3 stories. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss and make your final decisions. Go.
So we're all leaning towards 2, right?
I would like to just discuss a little bit more.
Yeah.
The first one, because another important detail was that multiple people can see them at the same time. The first one, nobody saw them at the same time. And that is something that's common in the other 2.
Right.
So I think that's also another. I honestly think it might be the first one I don't think it's the third one. I think it's the first or second one. But I kind of think it's the first one.
I would be so mad if it was the first one.
Yeah.
Because it's not staying true to the character at all.
Yeah. We can at least say that we're going to rule out 3, even though we never should rule anything out.
Yeah.
But like 3 was too
on the nose.
It's probably like the first one that comes up on Reddit when you look up.
Yeah. And 2, usually like the fake story takes inspiration from the other stories that are heard. And it can't even pull from other stories we didn't hear, because Anthony did mention, I don't remember if he mentioned this on camera or off camera, but he did mention that there is not a lot of information about this topic out there.
And there aren't many stories of them on Reddit at all.
They're like
right?
an old folks legend from California. And not that many people claim to have experienced them, but there are definitely some people who say that they have.
Right, which is exactly why there's not enough inspiration to really take from other than these few stories that are there.
Yep.
So, although we did only hear one story that was from California, that one's probably legit.
Yeah.
But the second story it had crossovers with story 1 and story 3. It had the similarity of seeing more than one of them.
Yep.
From number 3.
Driving.
It also had traveling as a whole.
Multiple monsters.
Yeah. Story number 1. It had overlaps with number 1 with the height of the creature.
Yep.
And anything else?
Figure being black, tall, robed. I think the
hat, right?
The robe. We never specified in story 3 about the robe or anything.
Yeah, we didn't
That's
get any
true.
specifications out of that. It was dark though.
This one, story 2 had the robe, and it had a hat, which wasn't mentioned in any of the other stories, but it was mentioned in the original description of the topic that they can wear hats.
Yeah. No, yeah, actually I think that description of it is actually right. It's perfect, because the second one is like a story that like you said, it takes pieces from the other stories, so it literally just feels like it's been pieced together for somebody to make a story so that it sounds just enough like one and just enough like the other. But the first one doesn't have pieces that I feel like need to be taken from, because it doesn't follow the conventionality at all outside of the monster being there. That's the only thing that actually is like about the story. Mm-hmm. The other 2 have so many similarities with each other, and this one is just like, yeah, well, we're gonna pull from the monster being tall, so it sounds like this one. I think it's the first one. That's my opinion.
The problem with like one is it's so wrong
Right,
from the
it's
lore
so
that was
wrong.
established
Yeah.
immediately, but like that could have been intentional.
Mhm.
I think my
Yeah.
problem too is if we pick one and it's not one, I'm gonna be so upset because it's gonna be like, yeah, it was so obviously not one.
That's why I said I'd be okay with picking two because like one feels like it should be the answer, but it's like
No,
let's pick
I don't
two.
know.
Yeah, what do
I
you
want
think
to
of?
pick two.
You want to pick two?
Yeah, one just seems too. Someone wrote it like on Reddit, because like that wouldn't be the fake one. It's just too different. It's too bold
Yeah, it just
and legal.
So I think the one thing that's like really like tricking me off with this is like the first story is not in California and the second story is not in California, but the stories are supposed to take place in California. So it's like if the third story is in California, we'll easily just write it off immediately. We're not gonna give a second thought to it. And then you just have us us fighting over the other two stories.
Right.
And you're not even gonna give the third one like another look. So maybe we should just look at it really closely with the lens and just see if we can figure something out.
3 was about spot on to everything that's supposed to be in there.
What about them being short though?
They were kneeling though, so it was kind of
And
like
they
a little
circled.
like
But isn't that a great? No, like
It's
I
a
said,
great way to get around
scapegoat.
it,
It's
yeah.
another great scapegoat to get around it.
They circled the car.
They circled the
first
car.
story, the guy circled the guy in the,
The person.
snow. The person, yeah.
so there is a little bit of an overlap with 3 and
Yeah.
1.
I think that's inspired though.
I think 3 got inspired.
I think 3
By
got
1.
inspired too. I would still be down to
And
go
all
for
right,
3.
so
Because we
the
were
other
about to
thing-
write 3 off.
Yeah,
we
and we don't do
always-
that. We don't do that.
Every single episode lately, we always, because process of elimination, like you said in the last one, we eliminate one story and we're like, there's no way it's this. And lately, it's always
It's
been that one.
Always that one.
Literally, I think the last 2
Every time.
episodes, it's been that one
3
every time.
at least, Ryan.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced this feeling
And
too
I
many
think-
times.
He's on all of them.
We were sitting here talking about how like story 1 might be the trap,
yeah,
but story 3 is more so the
it's
trap.
super bait in my
I
opinion.
never thought it was 1. Because 1 was just too out there.
Yeah, illegal.
Literally illegal.
One was illegal, so it
Illegal.
It can't.
So-
If one, it's 1, then whoever wrote it has to go to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm down to lock in 3 actually. I'm so down.
Honestly-
I'm in.
I wouldn't even be care if we're wrong.
I'm in
honestly,
story
at this
3, and
point.
I think that if we are correct, then this was the biggest breakthrough, and like we truly are the greatest team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we get it wrong, then well,
Well, we're 1-1. That's actually still a better record than most people.
Yeah. All right.
Guys, it is not story number 3.
What was it? Can we
You
guess?
say story number 2.
It is story number 2.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, Toph has exited. It is just us left. This seems to happen every episode now, whenever Toph gets one wrong. Anyway,
So
that's besides the point.
Every episode.
Yeah, so every episode, yeah. Thoughts?
I gotta say I am disappointed, but I still think that we did a really great job with breaking them down. Like
I think you did too.
I think that this game is just so. Is he back?
Apparently he's not leaving.
Finishing the episode.
Okay, so Toph is back,
The de-stressor.
but this game is just so hard. It's not as easy as people might think it is.
It's not. It's
And
really
there's a
not.
lot of factors to consider. Like, even though we were like, yeah, it's got to be 2, it has all these overlapping things. It makes the most sense that it's number 2. We were ready. But, like, I think our decision to switch to 3 was pretty valid.
It was.
When you write the fake story, you're trying to deceive people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
The game is played differently every time. Sometimes
Yeah.
intentionally a lot of details, sometimes intentionally not a lot of details, sometimes intentionally right in the middle. It's a mind game. It's got to be played differently every time, or else you guys would figure it out every week. 'Cause
Yeah.
You'd be like, it's always the most simple one, or it's always the exactly.
Not
And
just straightforward.
This one was like, I think we're like right in the middle.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is about it. Thank you guys so much for playing. Thank everyone at home for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, leave a comment letting us know what you thought, and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when we post new episodes. If you're listening anywhere where you get your audio version of the podcast, then make sure to give us a rate and review and subscribe to the podcast for free. It really helps us out. And also send in stories of your own to truemythsonely@gmail.com. I can use your true stories for the true stories, or if you have fake stories you want to write, I can use those for the live. So send everything my way. That is about it. Thank you again so much for watching and listening. We will see you again next Tuesday with a brand new episode of True Myths, One Lie. Bye, guys.
just want to say we're still the strongest team.
100%. It's not even comparable.